Okay, so this was just day number 28 of our road to $300,000 profits, reselling on Amazon and Walmart. So here was the day, a little over 5 hours, 5.5 hours, because I also counted the 15 minutes going into today on the 19th, because I don't plan on working much, if any more today. We got family coming into town. So I'm going to not work for a few days. So we did for 45 minutes last night. I was still doing some sourcing wholesale. And then we did some errands this morning, and our dog went to spa day, basically groomers for company, and that got done quicker than normal. So instead of normally being like 3 or 4 hours, it was only an hour and a half. So we came home, and then I shipped. I think April, my wife, helped me for like 15 minutes or so near the end. But hour and 40 minutes or so I shipped, and then a couple hours later, I helped UPS load the boxes. And then this evening, it was mostly just kind of cleaning up loose ends and doing some other stuff before I take a couple days off, making sure all the employees have plenty of stuff to work on. That's one thing I really messed up with in 2023. There were weeks where some of our VAs that would normally work like 15, 20 hours, they'd only work like 3 to 5 hours because I didn't have work. And then I had employees that always work like 30 hours a week, and then their hours would be just wasted because I didn't have any work to do. So I'm really trying to focus on that this year too, as one of many things that I've talked about in these videos. So between 8:45 and almost until 10, I emailed a wholesaler about I can't remember what, but I emailed him, and then I sent Jared, which is our accountant, email about our 2024 numbers, just clarifying some stuff. And I also had to do some accountant stuff for that, for taxes and stuff, I think. And then I just cleaned out my email inbox, trying to keep it clean. I had an old email that got like over 20,000 unread message emails. And then it was part of MST, Missouri Science and Technology. And they no longer have alumni emails, so they just like erased it and deleted the email. So then I got a Gmail email, and I'm already up to like 6,000 unread emails. So I'm just trying to keep it below that 6,000 mark. I've been doing that for now a month or two. Just go in there and clean some emails, unsubscribe from some stupid stuff like Twitter and stuff. Like somehow it got on email list, so I go through that and unsubscribe from all that and delete all those emails. Just try and keep it clean. So like there's some stuff I'm going to have to work on here next week when I start working again, and I would just like to have all those emails near the top. And then between 10:25 and 11:35, give or take, was tasked for employees while days are off. So they're going through some of the inventory that we have a lot of cogs in. Like if we have 500 or more dollars of cogs in and that's not selling, I've asked them to lower the minimum price to, on SellerSnap, our minimum price to below the current buy box price. So then that way we can start selling it, as well as stuff that has more than 3 months of inventory. Like say we have 10 of them, or let's say we have 30 of them, right? And only 5 have sold. That's like 6 months of inventory. So I've asked them to make sure that our minimum is below the buy box price so we can sell some of that. As I mentioned yesterday, my goal for the end of January is to go through and clean out or to reset all the minimums and tags and everything on SellerSnap. So that's going to undo all that stuff, but I don't want them working on all that before I do, or or right after I do the reset and have to do another reset shortly after. So this will probably be, depending on how sales go and how our capital goes, this will probably be our last reset. And then we'll do another reset like in beginning of March probably or so, before the new low inventory fees come in beginning of April. So at the end of February or so, we can go through and be a little more aggressive on our pricing again, because the beginning of March we will reset as well. And then I'm not sure once the low inventory fees what we'll do with that, if we reset right before then, or we probably will reset around the low inventory fees. I just don't know exactly how we're going to play that out. And that's one of the things I did managing too, is I just told them we have a Airtable that keeps track of everything we've sold. And I've asked them to update that because we're going to have to do a little better at doing replens going forward. We did really good with that in the 2022, from about mid 2022 to the beginning of 2023, give or take. Like the first quarter of 2023. So like there's a 3 to 4 quarter span where we did really good at keeping track of our replens and replenishing almost as much as we could profitable, at least the top 100, 200 ASINs that we sell. We'd always replenish them if we were able to. But now since about May-ish of last year, we've not did it. And I want to get back to that, especially with the low inventory fees. We want to really keep on top of our inventory, making sure we're in stock, plenty in stock. Not only will it improve our profits because we're selling more units, it will also increase our profits because then we won't have the additional low inventory fees. So that's the other task. And then I've also asked them to do some, so we have a prep center file where everything I purchased from wholesale that's going to the prep center, I'll fill it out there. I've asked them to either, if it's Walmart, I've asked them to move it over to another file where our Walmart lister goes on and creates Walmart listings. And or if it's Amazon, then I've asked them to put that into our unlisted on Inventory Lab. So when the prep center scans the item, like UPC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, it just scans that and then it comes up on Inventory Lab what the item is. It comes up with the cost and supplier and all that stuff, so the prep center doesn't have to worry and how many of them we bought. So the prep center doesn't have to do any of that. They just scan it, press enter, and it pumps out the labels. So that does a couple of things. That makes sure that everything is entered correctly for our accounting and records and all that stuff. And it also helps the prep center to be able to go a little quicker and also make sure everything is labeled correctly and stuff, input correctly, right? Because if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but the UPC on the item is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, it's not going to show up on unlisted because it's not the same thing. So then they'll have to go and unlisted and or on their sheet and verify. I'm like, okay, wait, this is not right. And then they can see, oh no, he doesn't want it on this listing. He wants it on this listing, which actually makes an extra $5 profit. If you don't resell, that's going to be just way confusing. But it helps a lot in multiple ways. And for a VA that we're paying $4 or $5 an hour, and it takes them 2 or 3 hours to do it, $15. If it makes us an additional $1 or $2 a unit for 100 units, then that's well worth it. Especially if we have to pull the items back and then we have to spend time unboxing them and resending them back to Amazon, relabeling it and sending them back to Amazon. That's definitely worth it too. And then I was going through some historical sales numbers, mainly 2023 and 2022. There was an item we purchased wholesale that we're already selling that I bought the last 67 of. It's an expensive item. I think we bought it for like $70, $80, $75, but we're making like $40 a piece. But we have like 67 of them. So I was looking like, okay, $40 times 67. So we'll make like $2,000, $2,500 off this item. So it's like, how many of those items would we have to do a year just to like hit our goals, right? Without like every year we sell 10,000 ASINs, basically 10 to 14,000 ASINs. And so our profit on Inventory Lab on ASIN profitability in 2023 was 317,000. And then it was like 390,000 in 2022. Inventory Lab wouldn't provide me 2021. That would be even better. It would be even higher. But so like 320,000 divided by 2.5 thousand. So we'd only need 128 items similar to that, right? So like basically all we have to do is source one item like that every 3 days. $2,000 profit item. And then we would make as much as we did in the previous 2 years. And we'd have way less employee costs and all that stuff, rather than trying to keep up with 10,000 ASINs and always trying to find new ASINs that go out of stock and stuff like this. So I do want to try to take advantage of that this year, but at the same time, we got to be careful too, because that's one thing that burned us last year is because when we first got into wholesale, we went a little too deep in a few items that I think ended up costing us, I think all said and done, all the items that we've lost over $500 on this year was like 11 grand. So we lost 11 grand on like really bad buys. No, all the items that I don't remember if it was over $500 loss or $250 loss, but 11 grand. And there was a couple of them that lost over $1,000 because we bought them and it just was too deep. And then the location we bought it from, we thought we were buying them all, but then the location we bought them from, they just restocked. They said it was clearance, like it was done. So then we buy them so we wouldn't have like a ton of competition lowering the price. And then they would restock. And then now we've got like 3 to 5 months of inventory, but it's not just 3 to 5 months of us having inventory. Now it's 5 people. So that 3 to 5 months of inventory is like 2 or 3 years of inventory at reduced prices, because now everybody's trying to lower the price to sell theirs first. So I do have to be really careful with that. The thing is, I don't plan on really sourcing from that company, Sheffer, anymore. Just because I got burned by them so much, and their shipping is ridiculous. I think their shipping is like, you would buy like a one little bitty tiny figure, like a 3-inch figure or 5-inch figure, and they'd cost you like, right, you'd buy pallets of it or a couple pallets of different figures. And their shipping is like $1.50, $2 a unit. Or like a pack of playing cards, $2 to ship it. Like, what the heck? And it wouldn't just be that one unit, it would be like 600 of them, 600 different figures and playing cards and stuff like that, and be like $1,200 shipping for one pallet or 2 pallets, $2 an item. What the heck? Absolutely ridiculous. They are really good to get ungated with, though. And there are some items that are profitable from them. But you just can't go deep, and you probably need to hire out your own shipping company, because their shipping rates are atrocious. And right now we've got 3 other wholesalers right now that that we're really struggling to like I think we could go a lot deeper on and do really good on. One of the wholesalers, we averaged like 80% ROI last year after with all the items that we've sold there, and we made like $80,000 just with one wholesaler. So hopefully we'll be able to maintain that level or even go higher. We've got another one that you've seen in these videos that we're going really, really deep on because there's just not as much competition and it's just really good. It's not crazy high ROI, but we can buy a ton of stuff and it's a solid 40 to I think we averaged like 44% ROI, 44% ROI last year, but we only did them like the last 3 to 4 months of the year. So we'll keep track of that. The other one was like 35 to 45% ROI overall. I can't remember. It's high 30s, low 40s. And last year for a period of time, they were our main one because they were really good. But they just got a little more competition. As I talked about them yesterday, a couple other days ago, they just got a little more competition. So if you buy it, if you see an item that you think is really good, you buy it. And there's always at least 10 or 20 other sellers that buy it from them, I'm guessing. And it's just hard to really get the 80% ROI like it was last time, like the first wholesaler I was talking about. And it's not like guaranteed and spread out as the second wholesaler, right? Like the second wholesaler, we can buy 400, 500, 600 ASINs from, where the third wholesaler, it's not that deep or not that wide. It's more, you'd have to go more deep. And with my experience with Sheffer, I'm just real cautious doing that. I did have one really big bad buy from the third one, but that's because what I did in May is I thought I was buying like 150 units, but I bought 150 cases or something like that, ended up with over 1,000 units. That didn't turn out so hot. But I think overall we probably only we spent like 12 grand on that. I think we only lost maybe $500 or $1,000 on all that. Because a couple of them we made pretty good money on. It's assorted packs. So a couple of them we made pretty good money on. And then one of them we lost a ton of money on. And then the other ones were about even or a slight loss. It would have been really good if I bought like 150, 200 pieces, like 20 of each. But when you get like 200 or 250 of each kind, not so hot. Even thankfully it was Christmas time, or we went through Christmas time, because I think we got them in like August or September of last year when they finally arrived. So oops. And then Sheffer, we lost money on. There for a while, we had made like 4 or 5 grand on Sheffer. And then we started trying to go a little deeper. And then that's when I also noticed that their shipping rates were atrocious. So we probably didn't even make 4 or 5 grand at the beginning. We probably only made like 2 or 3 grand from it. And it was good ROI. It was like 40% ROI or 50% ROI, 2 or 3 grand profit. But then when it started going, when I tried to start going deeper, or trying to go deep and like buying stuff out to where I could like have more than a month or 2 months of inventory, or like, yeah, more than a month of inventory, right? Like if they only have 150 of them and it sells 3 times a day, I buy 150 of them. So I have 50 days of inventory. Then that way I'm not running out of stock in 20 days. But then when I bought the 150 days of inventory thinking I had all of them, then all of a sudden they come back into stock with like 2,000 of them. And now I've got 50 days of inventory and there's tons of other people on the listing. And there's a couple of times where I bought the item for like $10 or $9 or something. And then they come back into stock with them for that $9 or $10. And then they wouldn't sell for maybe a month or two. And then they would just like start slashing the prices Uh, it is not good. Not good. But like I said, they're good to get ungated in. And or doing really good, really small level wholesale, or you're somebody that's got hundreds of thousands of dollars that will doesn't mind buying a Hot Wheels. And that's what I talked to the account rep, sales rep. You go and buy 5,000 of this Hot Wheels item, right? It's a really good rank. It sells maybe 10 times a day or 15 times a day. You know the price is going to crater for a bit, but you got a 5,000, so you'll send like 300 or 400 in. And then as everybody else, like myself and other people that needs to flip their money quick or wants to flip their money quicker to make money, they don't want to just sit on stale inventory. Once they sell out, then you've got 5,000 units in your own warehouse that you can sell for like, instead of like 40 or 50% ROI, right? You can sell it for 100% ROI. And that's what we did with one of our products from the number one wholesaler that I was talking about earlier. They had like 1,200 units left or something like that, and we bought them all. But this wholesaler like actually lets us know when they aren't restocking so far. So we bought them all, and then nobody else was able to buy them. So we just slowly sold them, and then we waited until the December, and we sold them, the rest of them, in November, December, minus like 60 units. We still have 60 units. But so we made like 7,000 off of one of those figures and like 5,000 off the other is a two pack variation. So that worked out really well, and we'll probably do more of that this year through the first wholesaler, and maybe the second, and then maybe the third, but definitely the number one. Actually, I can already tell you, I know we are, because there's this last order that I bought from number one wholesaler. Right here. When I did this sourcing between the 7th and 9th, I asked the account rep, I said, okay, how many of these? I listed like 15 different products. I said, how many of these do you have? Some of them had like 2,000 and 500 and 700 and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, yep, I'm gonna restock those whenever. But there was a couple of them that only had like 80, and I was gonna buy 12 or 30. I was like, okay, I'll just buy the 80, right? It's a month, 2 months of inventory, 3 months of inventory. And there was one that we sell on Walmart really, really good, like 1 or 2 times a day. I was gonna buy 40 or something. And I just bought like all 160 because that's all they had. They've had that in stock now for 6 months or 10 months. And we, at the beginning, we'd buy 5 and sell 5 in like a couple of days, and we'd buy 10 and sell 10 in a couple of days or a week or 2 weeks. And I think in Christmas time, we bought like 25 or something and sold them in a couple of weeks. I'm like, so we already have like, well, we had like 20 in stock, but we've ended up now selling all of those just in the last couple of weeks, minus like 5 of them. So instead of having basically a month of inventory after this purchase, we're going to have 4 months of inventory, 5 months of inventory. But it's good. It's like 100% ROI. There's not ever been one other person on this listing. It's always just been us. So it's good. I think there's like 5 or 6 products like that we did that on with that number one wholesaler. And we did just try some with the number 3 wholesaler. We'll see how it goes. There was like 3 or 4 ASINs because they sent us an inventory list, and then you can look to see how many the quantity is, and then you just buy all that they have. And they're closeouts, so they aren't restocking. At least so far they haven't been. So all that comes from was one of the items was a closeout from the number 3 wholesaler that made us that potentially will make us $2,400 profit. It's on pace to. We've already sold, I think, 3 or 4 units of it. We only got 67, and we only sent it in. The prep center only sent it in like less than 2 weeks ago. All that just coming from that, right? And how we're hoping to grow that, but we also got to be careful because of what happened to us with Sheffer last year. So other than that, I think I'm done rambling. This was the thing. 5.5 hours. I'm now even on work. $5,800. Actually, I'll be in town anyway tomorrow. By the bank, so I'm on wire the $5,800 tomorrow. But I'm putting it in today because I'm just putting this as taking days off. Probably until the 22nd, May to 21st. But we will see. OA spent $426. That was some stuff that one of our Amazon VA found. She texted me this morning and said, "Hey, just so you know, I source bloop. The sale is ending today. Please purchase them." So I went on and purchased them. I don't even, at this point, she's so good, especially sourcing this supplier. I don't even verify that it matches and that it's profitable. I just go in, buy the maximum quantity, and purchase it. So it only took actually, I didn't even put it on here, but yeah, it was in this 10.25 to 11.35 range. No, actually it was 8.45 to 8.55. That's the first thing I did. So in that hour range is what I did it in. So it took less than 15 minutes or so. And then revenue and COGS ship. That's backwards. COGS shipped, revenue shipped in the Amazon batch today. Other than that, I hope you guys have a good day and take care.